Hello, Seiiti Arata. Think about all the problems that are disturbing your sleep. Think about the concerns and fears that make you think of giving up. In order for you to overcome all these problems, you need resilience. Now, do you know what human resilience is? Imagine that you have made a big change in your life. You decided to change your profession, or start a business, or live in another country, or any kind of other change. Your plan starts well until something unexpected happens. Maybe it's an innovation that makes your profession outdated. The economic market plummets. The country where you're moving to denies your visa. So, what would your reaction be? Could you adapt to the unforeseen or adjust your plan and move on? Would you be sad, unmotivated, start complaining about your life? If you can overcome obstacles and move on, congratulations. That means you are a resilient person. Otherwise, don't worry. Our conversation today will show you the skills you need to be a more resilient person in no time. Resilience means knowing how to adapt to unforeseen events. A few years ago, there was a roadmap almost guaranteed for those who wanted to have a good professional life, a good financial life. Basically, you had to study and get a specific education, find a good job, and stick to that job to advance your career through retirement, right? And this scenario has changed pretty fast. Today, the average work in the same company is about 2 or 3 years. If you think a career is around 35 years or so, that means you're going to have 10 or more jobs during your work life. So being resilient is more important than ever. You need the ability to adapt well to change. And now we're just talking about resilience at work. Think about all the other changes that are taking place in all types of areas and think about the speed of these changes. That is why one of the key skills you must acquire today is the ability to adapt to change, to overcome problems, to move on. And the name of the game is human resilience. Human resilience is based on problems, pressure, and flexibility. Have you ever seen a Rocky Balboa movie? What made that character a boxing champion was not exactly his ability to hit strong his opponents. It was his ability to be hit constantly and stand and move on. Resilience for psychology is people's ability to cope with problems, withstand pressure, and have the ability to be flexible and change. One of the best known examples of resilience is the physicist Stephen Hawking. And there was a moment when he was emerging as a physics genius at the age of 21, he was diagnosed with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. And that is a terrible and incurable degenerative disease that gradually paralyzes the muscles of the body. And Hawking was diagnosed in 1963, and the doctors gave him just a few years to live. And contrary to the expectations, he lived until 2018 at 26, with 2 marriages, 3 children, and 3 grandchildren. And has become one of the most famous and awarded scientists of all time. For many people, that's the very meaning of the word resilience. But in fact, the meaning of the word comes from physics. Resilience means the ability of some materials to absorb impacts and return to the original shape. Steel, for example, is of a resilient metal alloy. It is as strong as iron and as malleable as gold. The etymology, the very formation of the word leads to this understanding. It joins the verb silire, which means to jump, and the prefix re, which means again, that is, jump back to the original state. 30 years ago, psychology began to understand the word human resilience as a way to describe people with the ability to cope, to learn from defeat, to grow emotionally. The word gained a lot of popularity after the terrorist attack of the United States on September 11, 2001, and after that tragedy, the US government distributed booklets encouraging the population to become more resilient, to resume life and overcome trauma. Being resilient does not mean being invincible. Many people confuse being a resilient person with being invincible, unshakable, or having no problems in life whatsoever. However, This is not true. The most resilient people are the ones who often are hit by life's problems. And what sets resilient people apart is that they don't give up easily, they don't complain, they are not interrupted by any defeat. Resilient people simply absorb defeat, they learn from their mistakes, and they move on. The key word is adaptation. And once again, the surviving species are neither the strongest nor the most intelligent species, the ones that are best able to change, to adapt. There are several circumstances that may or may not favor the development of emotional resilience in each person. Education, families, relationships, social contexts, they're all pointed out by experts. But the good news is that resilience is a skill. And like every skill, it can be trained and developed at any stage of life. And this means that even if you do not consider yourself a resilient person, it is possible from today onwards to begin to strengthen your resilience to face life's problems with a growth mindset, with a learning mindset. If you want to discover the 9 skills a resilient person practices, I produced a free special bonus lesson for you on how to become more resilient in just 9 steps. This is a class only for those who are committed to their personal development. And if you want to participate, you can simply visit arata.se/resilience and you can register to access an exclusive content on human resilience.